Welcome to the VIP Boxing YouTube special featuring James and Darren Tetley, who meet in a fantastic English welterweight title eliminator that takes place in Bolton on Saturday, June 24th. Both fellas are selling stacks of tickets, but there are some left. Go to vipboxing.co.uk for ticket details and you'll be able to see what hopefully will be a memorable contest. Today they were just going head to head here in the VIP gym on the outskirts of Manchester. Fellas, thanks both for coming along today, especially you making the journey across down the M62. Darren, thank you.
No, thanks for having us.
Jake, one fight this year, you beat Robin Zamora. Why is it the right time to step up now?
I've been asking for these fights for a while, to be fair. The way I see it, if you're good enough, you're good enough, and if you're not, you're probably never going to make it. So there's no point just continuously boxing journeyman, and then when you do step up, you fall short anyway. So I've been asking for these fights for a while now, and this is my first real test against Darren. It is a test, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Darren, similar sort of question. You only returned to the gym, I think, fully in March after Don had some injuries over Christmas where you had to stop training. Why have you gone straight back in against a young, an unbeaten prospect, even if he's just a year younger than you?
I just think, obviously, I was out and stuff, and after the Hunt fight, after a defeat especially, and you kind of asking yourself a question. I could have gone a route of 4, 5, 6 rounders and got wins, but I just think it's a bit like fake confidence. Do you know what I mean? You know you're going to win, and you wake up on the morning of the fight, you know you're going to win the fight. So it doesn't, and then in the gym as well, you can slack off. Because I'm going to win. So I just thought I'm past that stage now. I'm 25 fights in, so I don't need to go back down that road. And the best thing for me is straight back into big fights. And luckily, I've got one here with Jake, so I can't wait now.
I know you know Jake from the amateurs, but how would you think he compares to the guys you've been fighting, like Antwi, Liam Taylor, Esserman, and Dom Hunt, of course?
I think obviously I had my first international, and Jake was on the team as well. So we know of each other. I don't think we've ever this is probably the first time we've ever spoke off camera and stuff. But I think obviously I can't really answer that until I've been in with him. But I think, and I'm sure he'll agree, obviously the level of people have boxed at a higher level than him. That doesn't mean he's not that level. He's just not boxed at that. So I can't really compare him as such, but I think the fights at that level and this level, it's still the same. Like Jason, if you're good enough, you're good enough, and it doesn't really matter whether it's a British champion or an unbeaten prospect. I don't want easy fights. I just want to jump straight back in and get back going again.
Jake, do you remember each other from the amateur days? Do you remember where it was where you last met?
Yeah, he was on that trip up to Scotland. So he was obviously a bit older than me, and I remember him, in the championships and the seniors and stuff. I remember watching him. He was like obviously winning titles and stuff like that. He was a bit of a boy back then. You know what I mean? He was winning titles and that. And we boxed on the England squad together. And I've not really seen him since then. I've obviously watched his fights with Esserman and a couple of other fights when I was just watching the show. And I've known him for years. It was 13 years ago that, so we've been doing it some time.
What weight were you 13 years ago?
I was 57 kilo.
Yeah. How much of a gamble is it for you, this fight? Well, maybe gamble is the wrong word, okay. How much, gamble, risk, whatever, considering you're relatively new to welterweight, still growing into that weight class. I think you were 10-5 last time against Robin Zamora.
I was kind of toying with the idea of trying to make light welterweight, and I felt in that fight that it kind of took a lot out of me, and I just thought rather than trying to kill myself to get down, I'd just be a welterweight, do you know what I mean, and just kind of build into welterweight. And I think boxing is a gamble anyway. It's a gamble for Darren to fight me, it's a gamble for me to fight Darren, and that's just the way it is, and that's the nature of the beast kind of thing. And I agree with everything that Darren's saying. These kind of fights are the fights that you want. There's no point just fighting journeyman. I don't see any point in it. You sell tickets and you build a bit of a fan base, but once you're at that point, you need these kind of fights to kick on. And I obviously want to get to the level that Darren's been at or is at, and these are the kind of fights that I need to get there.
Do you think you always mentioned getting, maybe getting a big promotional contract? Is this the fight that might earn you that with, say, an Eddie Hearn or a boxer?
Hopefully, yeah. you come through a fight like this and you look well, and obviously Darren's been in there with kind of the top boys of the weight domestic class. So if I look well against Darren and beat Darren well, then that kind of gives me a measuring stick of where exactly I'm at ability wise, and that's when you can kind of go to a promoter then and say, right, we might actually have something here, do you know what I mean? But when they're looking at, there's loads of prospects that are 10-0, 8-0, 12-0, they don't really know if they're any good, do you know what I mean? Because you just fighting journeymen, so it's difficult for them to sign you up. But once you have these kind of fights, if you come through, that's when you've kind of got something, do you know what I mean? And that's why I want these kind of fights.
Yeah. On the similar sort of subject, was it for you a shortcut back to TV fights, this fight, someone who's 13-0 with a reputation?
Yeah, I think obviously I've been in promotional contracts. When I beat Mason Cartwright, I was signed to Frank Warren, and I think the sound better than what the reality is. You know, it doesn't always work. But for me, I think, you know, if I win this fight, I'm kind of straight back into, you know, to another big fight. So, which is what I want. You know, obviously, like Jay said, it's a gamble for the pair of us. You know, for me, I've boxed at that level, and I think not putting pressure on, but I think if I get beat, it's kind of I've kind of still got that name, if that makes sense. I've been in numerous fights of the year. I could still get a big fight if I wanted one anyway. You know, granted, you're getting sent over there to get beat wherever it is. Whereas you know Jake's obviously the prospect coming up. So because I've been at that level and lost at that level, if Jake then loses to me, it's kind of like, well, you know where can Jake go? But for me, I think boxing's one of them. You take the opportunities you get. You know, I'm on the away show here, and you know there's no real pressure on me, or no more than any other fight. You know, it's just one of them. He's unbeaten. I've got a good record, and it's a really good fight. So I just think if I can beat Jake, obviously beating a 12-0 kid, you know what I mean, the prospect, you know, he was a very good amateur and stuff like that. It does stand me in good stead for bigger fights, I guess, on an even playing field. You know, if Jake was to beat me, they might offer me blooming Avenation on 3-week notice. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, where do you go? I have no bargaining chips, and that's the same for this fight. I have no bargaining chips now. I've lost my last two fights. I've no, you know, I can't start dictating to promoters, you know, well, I want this and I want this. You know, so do you want to fight Jake James on this show? Yeah. You know, and just take it. And then the more wins, the better people you boss, then yeah, I guess the more bargaining chips you've got. But at the minute, I'm at the bottom, so I've got to climb my way back up, and you know, I look forward to kind of doing that.
How was Hank Prollar relieve the pressure from you for this fight? 'Cause there is a bit more. You're a home fighter.
Yeah.
Bolton's a bit of an adopted home to you. You packed the place last time. You'll have a lot of fans. You know, we've seen your fans what they like. They're noisy. Yeah. You know, they must, when you're going around doing your tickets, they must be saying, "Oh, you're going to win." Is that piling the pressure on you? And how does Hank keep you?
Do you know what? I do myself. Ant is good, but similar to Darren, when you've had a big amateur career, you just learn how to deal with pressure, and it just, no matter where it is, this is what Darren probably thinks, it's just a boxing ring, it's just a boxing fight. It's like a spar, do you know what I mean? You've done it a million times. I never feel the pressure. It honestly doesn't bother me. If you can see me warming up, I'm just chilled out, do you know what I mean? And yeah, I don't really ever feel pressure. When I spoke to Ant about the fight, I said, listen, if you turn up 100%, I believe that you win, do you know what I mean? And that's as simple as it is. And yeah, I put the work in, so I'm going to be 100%.
Jake's quite a laid-back character. What are you like a few days before a fight? Are you one of these guys who growl, or are you relaxed as well?
No, I think obviously I can be hot-headed. You know what I mean? I think I was, as an amateur, I was a bit of a loose cannon, like. But I think, you know, is it as bad as it is to say it's on camera? You want to make this a segment? I agree with him. You know, it's one of them. It's for me the only obviously, and I can say it to him, is when. I would imagine that his 12 fights, subconsciously, he's known he's going to win them 12 fights. You know, but whether that, I'm not saying he didn't train on it, but subconsciously, I'm not going to lose. Someone his level isn't going to lose to someone who's won 5 and lost 50. Whereas he hasn't been through that changing room situation in a live fight, if that makes sense. So, you know, he hasn't been. I've been in them situations when you are in a live fight, and I'm not just saying it, and after the fight, regardless, I'm sure he'll agree with me, but it does change when you're behind the scenes and you're in an open fight. For me, I think it's more the days before. What changes? You know, maybe you're not as chilled out, but for me, once you get to the venue, I think everything goes anyway. You're there. I think the morning of the fight, you're like, I'm setting off at 3. Is it 3 o'clock yet? Is it 3 o'clock yet? And then once you kind of set off and you're there, you're like, right, I'm in. I can chill out now. You know, but I think I'm pretty chilled out in the changing room and stuff. I don't really get amped up. I think if I was sat here and Jake was talking about my kids or my wife, then yeah, I'd be a bit of a loose cannon. But you know, other than that, I just think, you know, whatever's going to happen is going to happen anyway. It doesn't. He's going to turn around and say he's going to punch me really hard. I'm going to tell him I'm going to try punch him hard. But whatever we say here or what we do, it's not going to impact the fight, if that makes sense. Whatever we're planning, you know, that's going to be how the fight goes. So it's pointless trying to amp yourself up. And you know, I wasn't driving here, smacking myself in the head, getting ready to come here. You know, you just think, you know what, it is what it is. I've been through this, not this stuff here, but you know, big fights and stuff like that. You know, obviously the biggest, I was at Wembley. You know, there was some crazy stuff going on there. So you just kind of think, you know what, ultimately the end destination is the same, the fight. That's where we're both going. So regardless what happens between, yeah, you have got to keep yourself concentrated, I guess, you know, the days before. And he'll have his ways, I'll have my ways, you know, we do that. You know, I remember when I boxed Mason Cartwright, the morning of that fight, I took my wife for a hairdo. She needed her hairdo, so you know, the day before that fight was my granddad's funeral. So you know, so I've been through a lot of situations, but ultimately you just chill out and you just think, you know, I don't need to have animosity against him. You know, it doesn't really, not here. You know, but once we get in the ring, I'm sure we're gonna go to work. So that's all that matters really in the end.
Just pick on one thing that Darren said there. Your previous 13 opponents, have you known you're going to beat them more? Has anyone give you that little bit of fear where I've got to be bang on it tonight?
Yes, he's fought. He knew every one of them. He was going to win.
No, honestly, if you were betting on him, I would have been there with favourite and all of them. You know what I mean? But I had a couple of them fields. Is bananas. I got him the morning of the fight. I was supposed to box someone else. I got him, and he had, I think it was like 4-2 or 4-1 at a time. And I thought it's gonna cause me. Not going to be an easy fight, but I never thought for 1 minute that I was going to get beat. Do you know what I mean? So in every one of them, I did kind of know that I was going to win.
Not going to ask you your daft stuff about how your training went and you know your opponent's weaknesses, but what I will ask you about each other, I'll ask you first now. What are Jake's strengths?
I've seen little clips of him, obviously not, but for me the one thing, obviously with the experience I've got, is I remember watching most of the little clips of the opponents, but Dom Hunt was the one that, and you're watching him and I'm watching him thinking, you know, he won't beat me, I'll beat him. And then you get in there and they're totally different to what you watch. So, you know, I seen one clip, he's got a good backhand uppercut. I've seen that, you know, he chinned someone with that. I won't mind that, it was coming, we were watching it in the work van and he was watching it and he said, he's got a good uppercut. I said, has he? And he showed me this guy's flattening. You know, but I think with the amateur background we've got we've been taught the basic fundamentals of boxing, you know, so that I know that's what he's going to have, and you know, like I said, got good uppercut and stuff like that. So you know, he's a good fighter, you know, and I'd be daft to say any different. But I've never been in there with him, so I don't know what he's good at, what he's not good at really until I've got in there with him. Yeah, ask me after.
What about yourself when you've looked at Darren?
I'd say something to Darren there about when you're in there, it's just completely different. I've noticed that.
I've never boxed, you know.
I've noticed it with guys that box, and I thought, there's no way I don't stop this kid. And then I get in there, I can't land a shot on him, do you know what I mean? It's just mad, but I think Darren's, he's good, but he's tough as well, do you know what I mean? We're a bit like, he never quits. Yeah, like if you watch some of his fight against Liam T, like, he went down to the body and he was just in it till the end, do you know what I mean? So you know with Darren, you're gonna be there all night, do you know what I mean? And he's tough and he keeps coming and he sticks with it. And obviously the fundamentals are there, so it's not an easy night work for anyone. No.
Yeah, we were talking about the Liam Taylor fight with guy that's filming for us today and editing it all, earlier on. Look, fellas, thanks for coming along today. Just one last thing. Anything you want to say to each other? You know, I don't want to throw chairs up.
I'm gonna fucking knock you out. Nah, listen, you know, I'm one of them. I'm a chilled out person. I know. I think he's just had a baby as well. You know, he's a parent. He's a boyfriend, husband. You know, I'm a husband and a dad. So I don't need to. I just wish him well in the rest of camp, and you know, I'll see you on the 24th, pretty much.
Yeah, same both ways. I had to look at you when I got tagged in, you know, your Instagram and I seen these little girls and that, and I thought see similar age, you know what I mean, similar age, we're both trying to make it work, and we're both just doing our best, and yeah, I'll see you next week. Yeah.
Fellas, thanks very much indeed. And thanks everyone for watching this VIP YouTube special.